So this is chapter 2, square roots, page 17. You know it from last year. And you remember when we were doing the geometry part, I told you, guys, you can leave the radical as it is now because in the next chapter, we're gonna learn how to simplify. So here we're gonna learn how to simplify. So let's start first with radical 18. If I take my calculator, some of the calculators will give you the simplified form. And I want to see the steps. And you cannot use the calculator and write directly the answer. The calculator will give you, the old one will give you 4.243. Some of the new one will give it to you in the simplified form. But as I told you, you need to show me the steps. You can check your answer by the calculator. I don't mind. But I need to find the exact square root. So I need to simplify the radical 18. How I will do it, we're gonna see it later. Just put in your mind the perfect square. What are my perfect squared? 1 squared 1, 2 squared 4, 9, 16. Those are perfect squared. You need to remember those the most because we will need it. 2 squared 4, 3 squared 9, 4 squared 16, 5 squared 25, 6 squared 36, 7 squared 49. Those are really important, more than the other are, and you will not use it all, but I want you to remember the perfect square till 100 here. Those are really important. What does it mean perfect squared? Yani when you square a number, it gives you an answer. Yani I can say 4 is a perfect square, it's for 2 squared. 36 is a perfect square for 6 squared, okay? I'm gonna use it here to be able to simplify. Okay, so how are we gonna do it? First, you need to determine the largest perfect square that will divide the number under the radical, and then simplify the new radical. How? We're gonna see how. I have radical 18. Okay, I'm gonna think about what is the perfect squared that when I multiply it by a number gives me 18. Okay, شو هن perfect squared? I said 4. طيب, you think about it. 4 times what gives me 18? Nothing. I cannot have it. I move. After forward, you have 9. 9 times what gives me 18? 9 times 2. So what is radical 18? It's radical 9 times 2. And then I have the rule for the radical. When there is multiplication, I can separate the radical. So it's radical 9 times, I prefer to write it like this before I give you the final answer. So the rule is for the multiplication, you can separate the radical. So what is radical 9 times 2? I can write it radical 9 times, listen to me well, if you cannot see the written, listen, times radical 2. So radical 9 times radical 2. And then what is radical 9? It's 3. So how can I can write radical 18? 3 radical 2. So this is the simplified form of radical 18, 3 radical 2. I cannot write from now on approximately this. I need to write 3 radical 2, and I cannot keep it radical 18. You need to write 3 radical 2. So I will explain again. 18. Okay, which perfect squared times another number gives me 18? يعني بالperfect square, the first one is 4. دايما 1 I cannot use it. 4. 4 times what gives me 18? I don't have. I will move after 4. I have 9. 9 times what gives me 18? 2. Okay, so 9 times 2. Then radical 9 times 2. It's radical 9 times radical 2 gives me 3 radical 2. And radical 9 is a 3. I will continue now. Another example. Radical 96. I need to think about, you take your calculator and you start. You do, for example, 96 divided by 4 to see if I can replace it by 4 times what? So it's 24. I can do it. I can do 4, but can I use bigger number than 4? Let's try, for example, 9. 96 divided by 9? No. 96 divided by 16, it gives me 6. So it's better to use it 16 times 6. And try to use the biggest perfect square, okay? So it works with 4, but you're gonna do again the 24 again. So it's better to use the 16. So it's radical 16 times 6. And again, also separate. It's radical 16 times radical 6. What is radical 16? It's 4. So I have the answer for radical 6. So radical 16 times radical 6. You can write it here if you want. So this one is radical 16 times radical 6. So what is radical 16? It's 4 radical 6. As I told you, the largest perfect square. Yani you could do it 4 times 24, but you need again to do 24 4 times 6, yani twice. So it's better to do it once. Okay? Let's continue. Now, radical 12. Also, how are we gonna do radical 12? Which perfect square times which number gives me 12? I know that it's 4. Radical 4 times 3. And what is radical 4? times radical 3, it's 2 radical 3. Radical 4 gives me 2, and radical 3, it's 3 radical 3. 45, it's 9 times 5, because 9 is a perfect square. So what is radical 9? 3 radical 5. It's not hard. You'll be used to it from now on. Okay? Now this one is very important. What is radical 5 squared? It means what is radical 5 times radical 5. So it's 5. There is many methods to do it. Some of you will say, okay, some of you will think this way. We'll say, okay, miss, it's radical 5 times radical 5. So I can put it all under one radical. So it's radical 5 times 5. So miss, it's okay, it's radical 25. And then what is radical 25? It's 5. Or some of you will do it like this. We'll say, okay, miss, I can do it like this. It's radical 5 squared. It's a property of the exponent. So it's radical 25. So it's equal to 5. I'm sorry for the phone is ringing, but I will continue the video. Okay? So what will be my final answer? My final answer will be 5. Okay? The same, radical 7 squared. Also, it's radical 49, it's 7. So now you can notice that the rule, if we have radical to a number squared, it gives me the same number under the radical. Okay, so radical 10 squared, it's 10. Here how I can do it. I want to simplify this one. First, I cannot multiply radical 3, for example, by 5. I want to multiply the numbers by each other and the radical by each other. 6 times 5 gives me 30. And radical 3 times radical 3 gives me 3. So 6 times 5 is 30. Radical 3 times radical 3, as we said before, this one it's radical 9 if you want to say. And what is radical 9? It's 3. And then what is 3 times 3? 30 times 3, sorry. It's 90. So my answer is 90. So this is a very important remark. Radical A times B, I can do it. Radical A times radical B. Radical A over B, it's radical A over radical B. And the last one, you need to be careful for it because there is all the time a common mistake here. It's not, I cannot separate the radical when there is plus, just a multiplication and division. I think we're done. Yes, we're done. And sure, if you have any question, you can all the time.